Number 5. So we're given a equation that's for profit. So P of x equals 4x squared minus 6x plus 5. And the other thing we need to pay attention to is it says profit in hundreds of dollars. So whatever we get, we have to multiply times 100. So if we get a 1, that means 100. If we get 2, that means 200. If we get 10, that means 1,000. The first thing they ask for is the average rate of change. And again, if you're doing average rate of change, that means you got to have 2 points because you're finding the slope of the line through 2 points or the slope of the secant. So they give us the 2 points. For the first one, they say from x equals 2 to x equals 4. So this is 2 and this is 4. Ignore this axes. Okay, so it looks more like this. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Ignore my scale, but you get the idea. We're going through this first point at 2 and the second point at 4. Now that's just a slope formula, but the problem with this is that we don't have the y coordinates. So the first thing we do is, in this case it's p, so we're going to do p of 2, that's 4 times 2 squared minus 6 times 2 plus 5. That's 4 times 4 minus 12 plus 5. 16 minus 12 plus 5 is 9. 4 plus 5 is 9. Then we have to do p of 4. That's our second x, so it's going to go as the first number in the numerator. That's 4 times 4 squared minus 6 times 4 plus 5. That's 4 times 16 minus 24 plus 5. 64 minus 24 plus 5. So 64 minus 24 is 40 plus 5 is 45. So in our numerator for our slope, or our average rate of change, these are interchangeable because they mean the same thing. Slope of the secant, average rate of change. Y2, 45, minus Y1, 9, X2, 4, minus minus X1, 2. So it's Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. That's 36 divided by 2 is 18. Now remember, we got to multiply whatever we get by 100. So 18 times 100 is 1,800. Okay, so this is $1,800 because this is profit. Profit's in dollars for us. So it's changing by $1,800. In other words, look, it's this much higher. It's $1,800 higher up there. Now in part B, they ask for a similar thing. In part B, they want to go from x equals 2 to 3. Now we already know what happens at 2. The profit at 2 is 9. So let's go ahead and write that. P of 2 is 9. But we need to find P of 3. Okay, and our profit function was 4x squared minus 6x plus 5. So the profit at 3 is 4 times 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 5 is 4 times 9 minus 18 plus 5. 36 minus 18 plus 5 is 36 minus 18 is 18 plus 5 is 23. Okay, so this is the same concept. We're doing the slope of the secant now, and we're getting P of 3 to be 23. Now don't forget, we got P of 2 to be 9, so we're going to have to go P of 3 minus P of 2 over 3 minus 2. So that's 23 minus 9 over 3 minus 2. That's going to give us a 14 times 100, so 1400. So as the profit selling X items, in this case from selling 2 items to 3 items, we're going to make an additional 1400 because this means the profit's going up by 1400. And by the way, this is called marginal profit. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Forget that. That's when we do instantaneous rate of change. Let's do that next. Part C. The instantaneous rate of change of profit. That's called marginal profit. You've probably heard of margins when you thought about business. What's your margin on the item? What are how is that item's profit changing? And that's what marginal profit means. So this is an instantaneous rate of change, so we need 1 point only. X equals 2. Now, an instantaneous rate of change, what we've done, this is not to scale the specific function, but think about what this means. We started out with X. We move over H units. So this is at X plus H. Okay. This will give us f of X, and this will give us f of X plus H. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this first original point and we're going to slowly move it back until it gets here so that H is now 0. So we're back here and all those other points are irrelevant. The only one that matters is this specific one right here. Okay, so this is the slope of the tangent at a specific instance in time. It's called the instantaneous rate of change. All right, so to calculate this, we need a limit. Because look, we want to know what's happening at this exact point back here. Okay, this exact point back here. So the limit as H approaches 0 of f of X plus H, that's our second Y, minus f of X, over, it becomes H because look, if you take the second X, X plus H, that's this H over here, this X over here, and we subtract from that the first X, that's this X, so subtract X, look, X and X cancels out, and we get H. So that's why our denominator is H. We could write X plus H minus X every time, but it would just be H every time. So the main thing we have to do here is we have to find f of X plus H. That's the toughest part. F of X plus H. Now remember, our function, P of X, is 4x squared minus 6x plus 5, and we're supposed to substitute in x plus h every time there's an x. So this is going to be 4x plus h squared minus 6x plus h plus 5. So the tricky part and what most folks miss is you want to put x squared plus h squared for this. But remember what this means. It means x plus h times x plus h. So there's x squared plus xh plus 2xh plus h squared. So it's x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. Now, I've got to multiply all that times 4, so that's 4 times x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. That's what I got down here. Minus, I'm going to just go ahead and distribute the 6x minus 6h, watch that sign, plus 5, is 4x squared plus 8xh plus 4h squared minus 6x minus 6h plus 5. So it's this entire expression for just our x plus h, f of x plus h. So I'll go back over here, and I've got this 4x squared plus 8x plus 4h squared minus 6x minus 6h plus 5. So that's just that first part of the difference quotient. Okay, this is called the difference quotient, and we've just done the first part, just the f of x plus h. So here's our f of x plus h. Now, we're supposed to, according to this, subtract f of x. So remember, f of x was, or p of x in this case, 4x squared minus 6x plus 5. So if we're doing the opposite of that, that is subtracting it, we're going to get a negative 4x squared, a plus 6x, and a plus h. So here's our minus f of x. It's minus 4x squared plus 6x, and let's see, that should be a minus 5 there on the end, right? Because I've got to subtract everybody, so it's a minus 5. And the reason I knew that I just miscopied that sign is all of these original function terms should cancel out. That's what happens when you take away the original function. So what I'm left with is 8xh plus 4h squared minus 6h. Now that's the numerator of our instantaneous rate of change. That's just this top part. We're supposed to now divide by h. So for each one of these, I'm going to divide by h, I'm going to divide by h, I'm going to divide by h. And that's going to give me 8x plus 4h minus 6. Then I have to take the limit as h goes to 0. And now look, up here I have a 0 denominator. I can't put in 0. But now I just have this expression, this 8x plus 4h minus 6. I can put a h is 0 in that. 8x, 4 times 0 minus 6 is 8x minus 6. And 8x minus 6 in this case is our instantaneous rate of change, which is actually a formula for the slope of the tangent. That's something happening at just one specific point, and it's at any x value. Okay, so we're not limited to just the x value that they gave us. We can put in any x value. Now, they did tell us they want us to do it for, let's see, x equals 2. So I take my 8x minus 6. I evaluated it 2. I get 16 minus 6, which is 10. Multiply that times 100 because it's in hundreds of items. So my profit, my instantaneous rate of change of profit which is also known as the marginal profit, okay, marginal profit, let me spell that out, we can read it, marginal profit is $1,000 when at a production level of 2 items. So that means we're going to make $1,000 on the next item because it's changing by 1,000, or $1,000 more, I should say, because it's going up by 1,000. Now, if we'd gotten minus 1,000, that would mean that the profit's going down by $1,000. Okay, we don't know the actual profit, we just know how it's changing, because that's all we know. The slope of the tangent is how it's changing at an instant. So there's a part of the problem that says, what does it mean? Well, it means that when 2 items are sold, profit is increasing at a rate of $1,000 per item. Now, it's going to be different at 3. Okay, at 3 items, you'd put a 3 in this, and so it'd be changing in a different way. But at 2 items, profit is increasing by $1,000 per item.